The outer cabane strut. Okay, get all these weights off of there. Make sure they glue it to the table. Okay, good. And it's pretty darn square. It's a little bit off, but the wing wires are really going to do a lot to get it straight at the end. I'd say it's only off by a degree. And also, it was hard to see, but every time I glued one of these angles, I didn't glue in the back and the front like a cool ½ inch. I left that not glued in the front and the back because that's where the push rods are going to stick in, or the wing wires are going to stick in, and I got to re-glue that area anyway, and it's hard to push that carbon through glue. So again, just leave about an inch to a ½ inch unglued, the front and the back of the cabanes, at the center section of the wing, and the other cabane. Starting to get her all framed up now. The next step we're going to do is we're going to take the two 8 3/8 070 carbon, and it is 8 3/8, yes, 8 3/8 by 070 carbon. There's two of them, and then we also have 4 070 by 1 inch carbon, and these are used to connect the two ailerons together. And we'll also need 4 more pieces of your 1 inch shrink tubing here. That's how we end up connecting these together, and they're kind of connected by the shrink tubing, you know, at about a 90-degree angle, and the shrink tubing allows the flex. But one important step here is to round off the carbon where they meet each other, and that allows, you know, like a bone joint or something, it allows more flex without a sharp edge to cut into the shrink tubing. So you just kind of want to put a nice little round ball on it, and you do that with some sandpaper or a sanding block. Kind of rotate the piece around, and I usually take this sanding block and just kind of I'm rolling the carbon in my hand and just sanding away from myself. Get a little bit of a bevel on there, and then just real lightly touch the top, round it off real nice. And even sometimes I'll hold the block solid, kind of rub and roll in the carbon as I'm going back and forth here. You kind of round it off, and you want to do that on both sides of the 1 inch carbon. That way it'll poke into the foam nice, and also have the joint on the other side where it meets up with the longer piece of carbon here. And you also want to round both ends of that off. So go ahead and just sand them all around. Nice little ball on the end of it. And here's the 4 shrink tubings. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my 6 inch 040 carbon pieces that we use to strengthen the fuselage. I'm going to sharpen the edges on all of those as well. And even the 17 inch 040, you have to sharpen the ends of that on one end on the 17 inch guys. You only need 1 inch sharpened on those. But the 070 by 8 3/8 and the 1 inch 070, they need to be sharpened on both ends, as well the 6 inch 040 sharpened both ends. With this 6 inch 040 carbon, I'm going to start a pilot hole. And where I put that is right here in the corner of the aileron, where this little V meets the corner. Right there is where you want to poke it in. And you want to look down, make sure that you're right in the center of the foam. And you only have to go in about 3/4 of an inch or so. And just kind of work it in. I'm checking to make sure that it's parallel with the fuselage and that it's parallel with the wings, so we're not going to come out of the foam. And we'll just go ahead and start a pilot hole on all 4 ailerons in those, right in that corner. Just twist it and go slow. Keep looking at it and see I'm at an off angle, so I'll pull it out. Re-get the angle. Okay, wall it out a little bit. We're going to stick the 070 1-inch carbon in here. But we want a nice pilot hole. And this 040 goes in a little easier. Also, one note, when you're working with this airplane up on its nose like so, you have to be careful of this little guy here. When you're flat up against there, it can get broke off. You can break this little guy off fairly easily. So, you know, be aware that this little tab here is hitting the table when you got it nose down. Now we're going to take our 1-inch heat shrink tubing. We're going to go back to the regular CA, and of course we have our shrinker here, lighter, and we're going to put just a drop on one end of the carbon here, the 1-inch carbon, and we're going to slide the shrink tubing 1/2 inch, so half of it's covered with shrink tubing and the other half of the carbon is open. And when we shrink this, we just want to shrink the area up by the carbon just a little bit, just a touch, maybe a little bit more. That's about it. Now you're going to take the 8-inch 8 3/8 carbon, same thing, just a little bit of just a drop on the end, and we're going to bring these together. So we're going to bring it together where you feel the two carbons touching each other in the center. Like so, and then just real lightly shrink it. Check it again. Make sure they're touching each other. Real light, and then while it's hot, I want you to bend it to about that angle, extreme angle. You know, probably we're going, you know, 100 degrees or so there, and then back again. And now we got that's our hinge, and we'll do that on both sides of the carbon for both of them. Carbon in there. Now it's important here to get these two pointing at the same angle. So I'm holding this one we've already done straight down. There we go. Bend it. I'm letting it cool off. There, and then you'll end up with that guy right there. You got those two pointing in the same direction. It's like so. And you want to make 2 of these. There we go. And we have both of them. These are the aileron interconnectors. Now you can go ahead and push one of them into the aileron here. You want a minimum of a 1/2 inch sticking out here, but you can push it all the way in, I believe, but I usually leave about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch sticking out. And we're going to open up the holes we pushed in the aileron with the 040 carbon, with the 070. So then we're going to lay her back on the table here. And when you're doing this, make sure none of these servo wires get underneath the wing when you lay it down on the table. Is getting the back of the ailerons off of the table so that they don't glue. So I'm going to move the whole airplane back. I'm going to get these little carbon guys here hanging off the end of the table so when I glue them they don't get stuck to the table. Looks good. The top ailerons look good. Back to the foam safe CA.